The U.S. military is developing a weapon with microwave technology designed to stop countries like North Korea from launching missiles.
CNN has learned tonight of a new American weapon which could counter Kim Jong-un's menacing and accelerating missile program. A U.S. Air Force official tells us it's called CHAMP, a high-powered microwave system that can be delivered on an air-launched cruise missile deployed from an American bomber. Experts say it can jam missiles before they launch or while they're in flight, and in the standoff with North Korea, it's a game-changer.
Though we can't show actual images of the CHAMP or Counter-Electronics High-Powered Microwave Advanced Missile Project, this animation shows a simulated weapon flying over selected targets, hitting them with high-power radio wave bursts and defeating their electrical and data systems without causing injury or collateral damage. But it was no simulation Tuesday over the Utah Test and Training Range, where Boeing and the U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory's Directed Energy Directorate successfully flew the first fully operational CHAMP weapon.
We hit every target we wanted to, we prosecuted everyone. Today we made science fiction science-backed.
This video, recorded during an earlier test, shows what CHAMP is capable of. Watch the computer screens in this office as the directed energy hits the building. While the computers were knocked out, there is no structural damage. Fade to black.
When that computer went out, when we fired, it actually took out the cameras as well. We took out everything on that. It was fantastic.
It would be very useful in the Korean theater because it wouldn't require the presence of significant numbers of ground forces, it wouldn't require special operations forces, and it wouldn't require kinetic bombing attacks. So in essence, what can happen is an attack can occur, and not a single person on the enemy side will lose a life.
This declassified animation from the U.S. military shows how the CHAMP system would work. A bomber deploys a cruise missile. It would fly into enemy airspace at low altitude and send out strong pulses of electromagnetic energy. Officials say the enemy's electronic command and control systems would be jammed. Then, analysts say, the missile it's deployed on could be splashed down at sea. In one test of the CHAMP system, this was the result: a bank of computers being disabled simultaneously.
This is kind of like putting a piece of metal into either a microwave or some other high-frequency area where you're blasting it with a lot of radiation and watch what happens to it. It's like, in essence, magnesium being set on fire.
Officials caution CHAMP is still in the research phase, not yet operational. While it could be effective in preempting North Korean missile launches, skeptics say it has potentially dangerous drawbacks.
A non-lethal weapon that can defeat targets without collateral damage is an idea that's been portrayed in television and film for decades. But this, says AFRL CHAMP lead test engineer Peter Finlay, is no movie.
We're not quite at the place where the Star Trek and Star Wars movies are, but this is definitely an advancement in technology to be able to give us an opportunity to do things that we couldn't do before.
James Dodd, Vice President of Advanced Boeing Military Aircraft, says his team is focused on developing the innovation to protect U.S. troops.
We know this has some capabilities and some impact, and so we're really trying to engage the customer and see if there's a way that we can actually get this built and implemented sooner than later.
After its first flight, the CHAMP missile flew to an undisclosed location on the test range, and the flight was intentionally terminated. Boeing and AFRL teams are now analyzing the data and telemetry from this flight, which not only made history, but stands to change it as well.
The weapon, which is still under development, could be put on a cruise missile and shot at an enemy country from a B-52 bomber. It's designed to use microwaves to target enemy military facilities and destroy electronic systems, like computers, that control their missiles. The weapon itself won't damage the buildings or cause casualties. The weapon, which has the gloriously military-style name of Counter-Electronics High-Power Microwave, or CHAMP, isn't quite ready for action, but it could be soon. Two unnamed Air Force officials said that the weapon could be ready for use in just a few days.
Well, think about like when you put something in your microwave that actually has some metal on it. You know how badly that can go. Imagine directing those microwaves at someone's electronics.
This technology absolutely works.
Mary Lou Robinson is chief of high-power electromagnetics at the Air Force Research Laboratory in New Mexico. She supervised a series of tests.
It did exactly what we predicted it was going to do, and that was a huge success for us. This entire system is a conventional air-launched cruise missile, or a CALCOM. This particular variant has on it a high-power microwave payload system. So in the back, you have the engine. So the air intake comes in here, and the air is jetted out the back. The engine is used by our system to help replenish the batteries. The batteries are what actually charge our payload. We call the high power microwave system on here the payload. That payload portion extends from just in front of the engine block a pretty long way. We have an antenna that radiates out to get our energy out into the atmosphere. You have a Mark's bank. It's a power conditioning system. We can't just take energy, electricity out of the wall and have our source work. It has to be conditioned. It has to be in the right form to make that source work. So we have a whole bank in here that makes that happen. And up front is more systems that are indigenous to the Calcum itself. So our portion is kind of the middle section of this missile body.
General David Deptula, who ran the air wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, calls the weapon an excellent one, as do 4 other current military officials we spoke with.
Command and control centers are filled with electronic infrastructure, which is highly vulnerable to high-powered microwaves.
We asked General Deptula if the weapon could disable a ballistic missile on a North Korean launch pad.
Quite possibly, yes.
So if it's so good, why isn't it out there? What's the holdup?
The challenges are less technical and more mental. The tendency within the Pentagon is oftentimes to continue to try and perfect something. My tendency is to say, hey, we've got some things that really work. Let's take those things and put them into the hands of our men and women in uniform.
Although one serious concern is that the cruise missile carrying the weapon would have to fly relatively close to the target inside North Korea, which could be seen as an act of war.